going on, y'all? What's up? What's up? Let's do our intros. Y'all let me know in the comments if y'all can hear me well. Um, so let's start with oh yeah, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Um, let's start with how I kind of got to this. I've been kind of following the Kanye story a little loosely, and I'm thinking about some of the conversation we've had, not just in the Black manosphere, but in overall the Black community and other people of color, right? And I started to really consider whether the fight was really for justice or if the fight is really for the power, the accoutrement, the prestige, and the ability to get away with stuff, right? Of white people, right? Um, the ability to play damsel in distress like white women, right? That I think many black women that Miss Anne, Becky, Karen type of social power, right? And then for some brothers, it's the ability to say whatever you want, do whatever you want, be very crass, be very vulgar, and get away with it, not because what you're doing is just. As a matter of fact, because what you're doing is there is no justice to it, there is no kindness to it, but you're getting away with it because of the social power of white skin. And I wonder how many, not just black people, but people of color, really that's what they're fighting for. Because there's a difference when you're fighting for something more fair and open, right? Compared to when you're fighting to have the same type of unjust social power that others have, right? And this has been inspired by a lot of conversation that I've heard, throughout my life, but especially when I was thinking about what Kanye tried to communicate. And I'm not going to get too far deep into the Jewish conversation or any of that. For me, it was Kanye trying to pull a Trump and maybe not really realizing that he doesn't have the social power of Trump, who himself is a trust fund baby, right? And I think that's where Kanye forgot he's not a Kardashian, and Kanye forgot he's not a Donald Trump. And then the question becomes, do we actually respect the power that Donald Trump wielded, right? From the second he came down the escalator, calling Mexicans essentially drug dealers and right? To respect that, the only problem we have with it is that it wasn't a black person or a black man in particular that was speaking that way. Is that what our real issue is, right? That's something to consider. And I wonder if that's what our real issue is. That I'm huh I don't know. I was listening to everything, and I've considered this also because of and a shout out to Dr. T. Hassan Johnson and the funky academic Army Ose Frimpong, in listening to them talk. And I I watched Army's video the day it came out where he was speaking about the Huxtables and the Banks, right? Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and the Cosby Show, and raising your children what I call aracial, right? Raising black children in an anti-black society, in a white supremacist society, is aracial. And I particularly thought about Hillary Banks, and when Army was speaking, because he did mention Hillary Banks, and he mentioned how, like he grew up with some of those girls, black girls who thought they were white, and how miserable they are as adults. And when you listen to swirlers and divestors talk, and when you listen to how they chastise black men, if for those of us who've kind of peeped our heads into some of the East Asian conversation, East Asian American conversation, you'll find that for certain women of color, their biggest gripe with their male counterparts is that they're not white women, right? That we have not, men of color have not made them into white women. And what I really appreciate about swirlers and divestors is that, right? That's one of the things that actually makes the conversation concerning them so difficult to deny, because they're so on the nose with it. They're so in your face with their problem with black men. When they say building, right? When they say you're conquered, right? All it is just a continual chastising and beating up on, and I'll use one of their phraseology, punching down on black men for black men not making them not just white women. Y'all have heard me say this a billion times, but upper middle class white women, right? Rich white women. And so the question then becomes again, is this really about fairness and equality? And then you can even ask another question. What do you even define that as, right? Because if the goal is to just be a chocolate dipped white person, then are we saying that that's justice? Right? Do you really want to be, it reminds me of the Martin Luther King quote, I fear of integrating my people into a burning house, right? Is the goal to just be a chocolate dipped white person with all of the social class, hangups that they have? We just got to recreate that in the black community the exact same way. But now we'll be on parity with white people, right? And are black people, that's black men and black women, prepared for the social ramifications of essentially being a chocolate dipped white person and never actually worrying about the inequality in the system? Now you're just like, screw it. I just want to be on top of this pyramid scheme. I don't care that it's a pyramid scheme. I just want to be on top of it. And are you willing to sacrifice your children to that? Are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to see more and more of your daughters on antidepressants? Are you willing to see more and more of your sons kind of become recluse because your sons and your daughters have adopted a very white mindset? Because not all of our children are going to be part of that top 20%, right? But if we're on parity with white people, and the bottom 80% of black people are much like the bottom 80% of white people, then you got to be prepared for the ramifications. And who says you're going to be the one to win, you and your family, right? This is something to consider. Because I'm listening to people talk about the Kanye thing. I'm listening to swirlers and divestors. I'm listening to some of our brothers that say, well, our problem is that we're not building, we're not trying hard enough, right? We're going to school for the wrong things. And the problem is that, the family model is all type of messed up. And I'm just like, it sounds like we're missing something. We're missing something, right? It's interesting to me to listen to men who can talk about the system all day, every day, when we start talking about divorce, who can run down systemic issues when we start talking about child support, right? And the family court. But these same men refuse to acknowledge systemic issues when we start talking about the banking system, or when we start talking about racism in the country. And this is for white and black men, right? And non-black or non-white men, other men of color. We can talk about the system ad nauseum and how rigged the system is, right until we start talking about racism, right? Or these same people will tell you just offer your way through, right? This is an anti-black system. I don't want any of us to ever forget it. That doesn't mean you sit on your hands and give up, though. That's not what Mr. Z is advocating. What I am asking once again is just, are we fighting for the ability to just be chocolate dip white people with all the injustice that that comes with? And are you willing to then sacrifice your progeny to that, hoping that they get into the top 20%, but not knowing for sure, right? Are you prepared, right? And hopefully you guys can hear me. My apologies. I know I'm like, you know, that's something I've been considering while I listen to these people talk. I know I've been off for a couple days. Mr. C's real life has been absolutely hectic, absolutely hectic, right? But I've been kind of peeking in and seeing all the conversation that's going on, all the beefing and the the talk about just Pearly and all that other. I've been peeking in. I've been keeping my ears to the ground, right? Much of which it just, to be honest with you, kind of doesn't interest me, right? But it is good to, like I said, I really loved seeing Dr. T. Hassan Johnson speak with Army Osei Frimpong. That was a great conversation, right? I implore you guys to subscribe to Funky Academic. There are going to be things that you disagree with him on, of course. But it is good to see the philosopher mind, especially a black philosopher, a black male philosopher, right? And how he just breaks things down and how he views things. It's beautiful, right? But once again, my question is, are you fighting, or are what you hope for is essentially to be chocolate dip white people, a chocolate dip Gordon Gekko, right? A chocolate dip Reagan, chocolate dip Clinton, chocolate dip Nixon, right? Chocolate dipped Bernie Madoff, right? With all the wrongs that come with them, right? Because I get it. A lot of people are done fighting. They're done waking up every morning and dealing with the slings and arrows. Black people in particular dealing with the slings and arrows of non-black people, their slick comments, them playing coy, right? Their underhanded comments, all of that. I know we're tired of that, right? Right? What do they call them on the left? The microaggressions, right? I realize that there are a lot of black people that's just tired. They're tired of it. That's black men and black women. And you just want to make your exit, right? And if your exit is, just regurgitating anti-black stuff, then so be it. Especially if it's across gender or class, right? So be it. Or even sexuality, and that's for left-leaning and right-leaning black people politically that have just said, screw it, I'm done fighting, screw these Negroes, I'm out. The first chance I get to be out, I'm out. And if that means that I will occasionally bring my people in for some, how would I phrase that? Bring my people in for some backhand verbally, right? And I'm saying my people as if some of these people even view the rest of the black community as their people, right? That's my sentiment. Many of these other people don't see that, right? So is the goal to be white? And what from what I'm seeing, for many people of color, it is. It is. And you can see it in the way we're speaking more and more, and what we're comparing other people in our group to, and what we're saying about other people of the same racial group. and how we're saying it. It's just not what we're saying, right? It's how we're saying it. The verbiage, right? Very anti-black, and with a lot of passion, a lot of anger, right? And some of us are making some real nice money off of this. Making some real nice money off of just talking crap about other black people, right? Some of us are in position simply because that's what we do. That's what we're supposed to do, right? Sell black people on like, yeah, racism might be a thing, but the real issue is that you Negroes ain't trying hard enough, right? And the system will pay you handsomely for that. And some of us are so tired, we're like, screw it, I'll take it. I'll be able to go to sleep at night, I'm good. Selling out other black people, shit, I didn't like these Negroes anyway. I've been not liking these niggas since I was in elementary school. Right? Whatever childhood trauma I have, I've just allowed that to fuel me to the position I'm in now. And now a white person or a Latino person or an Asian person is willing to write me a fat check to sell out other Negroes. Oh, I'll take it. Right? Move into a white neighborhood, get me a non-black spouse and close the door. Right? So that seems to be the goal. Now, is it gonna work for the masses of black people? Hell no. But just enough to continue to push well, you see, we can't be racist. Look, we got a handful of Negroes here and a handful of Negroes there that have some stuff. That's doing all right. That have achieved, right? That are accomplished. Right? And this is before we even start getting into the conversation about class. That's when it gets real sticky. Right? Black people who either realize and pretending they're not, or truly don't realize what their position is. Right? You're here to advocate for white people in a certain way. To say the type of things they can't say in public. To make black people question and to gaslight black people. To make black people question whether it's really them as an individual. Right? You're here so black people can say, you know what? Maybe it is me. I mean, this person got some money. This person got some status. Right? And I know y'all are used to hearing me sound a little bit more animated than this, but I've really been thinking about black people and kind of the co-opting of a lot of black people coming out of the 80s. Well, pretty much in the 80s, but definitely by the time we get into the 80s, how many black people just were like, screw it. And then definitely by the time we get into the 90s, it's pretty much done deal. I will give Army and Tone Talks this. I think this decade, going into 2030 and the next 8 years, this next rest of this decade is going to be a tough go at it for black people. It's going to be a tough go because black people are going to be forced off of their stupor when it comes to how we think about money. I will give Tone Talks that entertainment juice, that living vicariously through entertainers, I think, and this is kind of me switching subjects a little bit, so Yeah, I'm gonna kind of deviate a little bit from the original topic. Um, I might even retitle this kind of a mishmash, right, or a mashup. Um, but okay, so I agree with Tone Talks on this, right? Many of us have been living vicariously through celebrity, right? We've been living vicariously through celebrity. We've been living vicariously through um, um, entertainers, right? We love looking up their wealth. We love looking up their cars. We love looking up the type of spouse they have. We love looking up the house or the neighborhood they live in, or the type of schools they attended, right? Because we're living vicariously through them. It's not just that one of us made it. Again, great, but it's us kind of living, like I said, through those people. And I think what you see going on with many black celebrities, first of all, you're realizing how human they are. Secondly, you're realizing these people may not be as smart as you thought they were outside of a very narrow field, right? And third, when they kind of not misspeak, but when they're allowed to speak enough, and you realize how much contempt some of them have for everyday working people, that's when it gets interesting, right? When you realize that the black elite despise normal black people, regular black people, everyday 9 to 5 black people. Now they'll claim to advocate for you, right? But you'll see when they get into something how they jump right back into their classist position and insult you, right? And blame you for your position and say the most insane thing. You could have been here too. You could be here too. Yeah, there's like 330 million Americans in this country, 40 of which or so are black Americans. Yeah, no. Right? Now, there is the concept of, why not you? I've definitely heard that. Why not you? It's a struggle, but why not you? Why not you be the millionaire? Right? Why not you be the billionaire? This is true. Why not you? Until you factor in the system that makes it even more difficult for you as a black person, a black man, than anybody else. And it's pretty damn difficult for non-black people too. Right? There has been a wealth hoarding and a wealth calcification, sorry, not classification, but calcification in this country for about 40 to 50 years now. And the game was to sell you that you would win the lottery and be part of that also, eventually. If only you did the right things, right? If only you did the right things, you would be part of it also, right? And that was a good selling point. Now, did it actually work for the masses of Americans? No. No, actually, over the past 40 years, your wages have been pretty damn stagnant. And for men in particular, over the past 40 plus years, your wages have actually slipped backwards. Specifically black men. But we've been sold upward mobility. Because of credit, many of us have bought into that. Now, you couple that with what I was speaking about earlier about, is the fight for justice really just a fight for whiteness? And now you have a bunch of delusional Negroes living off of credit, think they have more power than they actually have, get on their high horse the second they make $1 more than the next Negro, and get off on condescending to other black people. Right? And their biggest gripe with the whole entire planet is that they're not seen as the elite people that they are. Because they may be elite in the in the black community, but in much of the rest of the country, they're just another nigga, just with nicer stuff. And that's their biggest gripe. They don't have a problem with the injustice. They have a problem with you not acknowledging their class position. Right? So you couple everything that I just said, black people, along with other Americans, that's not exclusively a black American thing, right? Who are woefully ignorant about wealth right now and how money's moving. And you see this, I've said this before on other channels. I don't know if I've ever said it on my channel. So let me make sure to put this on record on my channel. It was interesting for me, Mr. Z, to see us sitting in the middle of COVID-19. Armageddon around the corner. No one knows what's about to happen. People sitting at home for months, no job, and no income. And to see a middle-aged man by the name of Kevin Samuels start to blow up on YouTube. This is before the Average at Best video. And to see his channel slowly growing, like blowing up, right? And woman after woman after woman after woman after woman after woman, no matter what part of the country she's from, no matter what size she's from, almost no matter what color, obviously black women were the most egregious, pretty much tell you what they won't settle for. And that's not even the worst part. The money question, right? Why does this matter? Because in the middle of COVID-19, in the middle of Armageddon, you're still talking delusional. You're literally sitting at home with no income. If you're even at your home, you might be at your parents' home. Right? So let's couple that with what I was speaking about earlier. So you have a bunch of white wannabe, delusional women, black women, telling you what they won't settle for as they haven't been employed for 2-3 months. Or telling you how much better they are than average men as they've been home for 2-3 months. Right? As they've been home for 2-3 months. These people have really remade themselves into white women, and they're beating up on black men all through social media because black men have not made them upper middle class and rich white women. While they starve, right? While they starve. While they're sitting in their parents' home, or a sibling's home, or a family member or relative's home. Right? Once again, like, super chat, you know? What's going on, Meech? Meech says, what up? You know? On a side note, on another note, let's rage out for a second. And I'm saying this now so I could put it on record, so I could put out this video. So I have been peeping in, this is another bit, so this is definitely gonna have to be a mashup. I'm gonna have to change that title of this video. I've been peeping in to, and this is for you 18th letter if you're still here, and for Meech. So we're gonna have our divester adjacent part of the conversation tonight. And but Meech put the 5 on it, so let me go into this territory. Sadomasochist part of the conversation. All right. I've been peeking in to Paris Milan's channel periodically, especially her lives. So not the videos that she keeps posted, but the ones that she eventually deletes. And it's your standard issue insanity. She did go in on veterans a little bit on her last video. And before she did, she said, oh, I'm probably gonna have to delete this afterward. And she went in on vets, and by saying, you know, she doesn't care with anybody say she know vets have mental issues, and she pretty much warned her, not even warned, she told her subscribers to stay away from vets, from military vets. And of course I have that saved. Oh, I'm saving so much. Oh, I can't wait until I flame her. I'm just compiling all the clips of videos. By the time I really go in on her, I'm gonna have like an hour's worth of of just content of her saying the foolishness, right? And the reason why I think people like Paris Milan matter is because of how much money she's made in this space, right? In this girl talk, black woman empowerment, black men ain't-ish conversation, right? And the fact that, yeah, I call her the angry airhead, and shout out to Angry Man for calling her the Maybelline Muppet hysterical. That is true, that's true, that's true. But she's not dumb, per se. And she's making lots of money off of the rage, resentment, sadness, loneliness of your standard black woman, especially younger black women, right? So Paris Milan herself isn't even 30 yet, and her subscriber base, from her own words, are even younger than her. So you're talking about a bunch of women in their 20s, maybe late teens, you know, a lot of young, you know, young women that are not, you know, full grown adults yet. And she's using whatever they feel to garner attention and money. And then her herself said that she's going to switch her content eventually to more luxurious stuff and, you know, more black women empowerment minus men in relationships and all of that other stuff. Which means, and I've said this before, your seed money is other black women's rage. And I want to say this specifically for any black woman that ever comes across this. Y'all literally made Paris Milan probably a millionaire off of your loneliness, anger, resentment, and rage. She is going to sell out in the sunset, married to probably a black man because apparently she's engaged. She's going to sell out in the sunset, probably married to a black man, go down a different road because, you know, from my understanding, she has this makeup brand or this makeup line or whatever the hell. So you're literally turning this woman into a millionaire off of your sadness, loneliness, rage, and anger. She literally profited off of, she's a drug dealer, an emotional, mental drug dealer. She sells y'all rage porn and y'all pay her for it. And she's going to sell out in the sunset and have a nice home and get married and have children, and you will be shrugs. Where? Right? This is, once again, but you know what Paris Milan does sell you? She sells you the sass, the one-liners, right? Like, if you ever hear her talk, it's like you just fell into like a 20-something-year-old and like teenage freaking hair salon. Just a bunch of cackling hens, just laughing it up, insulting men, laughing it up, like it literally is like a black female neo-Nazi party in her comment section. Insulting all different races of women, right? Insulting men. It's just a beautiful place for young black women to be. That's what they call their safe space. All the racial slurs about Asian women, about Latina women, about, right? White women, definitely about black men, right? And Rolling Stone thought it was cool to interview her while she's pushing rage porn to her subscribers for clicks, views, and super chats and super stickers. And so she could take that seed money and wash it with some cleaner content and a makeup line, apparently, or whatever cosmetic stuff that she sells. Yeah. If that's not some white stuff, time that back to the original topic. If that's not some white stuff, someone tell me who it is. right? If that's not some white stuff, someone tell me what is. See, and another thing, I play the numbers. I mean, when I say I play the numbers, I'm not talking about like 1920s lottery, right? I'm not talking about that, right? When I say I play the numbers, what I mean is, and it wasn't even called lottery back then, and it was illegal as shit back then. But I'm careful about what I say and what I advocate because I don't want black men to feel that defeated. I don't want black men to think that every black woman is out to get you. Not only just not just every, because these women are careful not to say all or every, but they damn near make it seem like all or every, and you damn near run the lottery if you meet a good black man with some money, right? And so that's not even what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm careful about how I speak. I specifically talk about a certain type of black women, especially the ones online, and the ones that are so cowardly they would never actually say these things in person because they're afraid somebody would physically harm them, when most likely we wouldn't. We just would make them look like the idiots they actually are. What's interesting about these conversations online, especially with the likes of Paris Milan, is the echo chamber that they occupy. They see it as somewhat healing, as somewhat therapeutic. But these people are admitting on Kim from Poor Harriet's channel, because these people do have a lot of cross pollination, right? They'll admit on Kim from Poor Harriet's channel and even Khadijah's channel that they've been single for years. They haven't had sex for years. They haven't been intimate with any man for years. But then when they're on Paris Milan's channel in the comments, when they're on Chrissy's channel in the comments, they're big bad, and it's all about saying all the worst and most misandrous, sexist things about black men is humanly possible, right? Like Paris Milan literally said that other black women are black male identified, and they consider any black man attractive just because he's a black man. Think about how insane you have to be to say that other black women that consider all of these black men that you don't find attractive, if those black women find them attractive, that they find him attractive just because he's a black man. What type of weirdo? And this is what passes for their banter. It's like a bunch of hyenas, bro. And you gotta be careful when you compare people to animals, right? But literally, it is a bunch of laughing hyenas. Just getting off on just ripping, all the places you go in the black manosphere. Outside of the battle stuff, right? We don't spend all day just ripping into black women. We literally talk about everything, right? And not just cosmetic stuff. That's not even a man thing. And the whole world, the world was turning a blind eye to it for the longest. But now that this type of stuff is biting into the white society, now we're starting to see some change. And I'm glad that Army also brought that up when he was speaking to Funky Academic, is that now that the white guys are starting to feel some pain, maybe black men in particular, can have some of their issues addressed. Not because people even give a hell about us, they don't, but because you're helping white kids, white boys, also is gonna help some black boys, right? But onto what I was saying before, I do see, and we're talking about this loneliness epidemic, and I don't think that this type of content that the Chrissies and the Paris Milans of the world create is helping that at all. And that's just going back to me saying that I'll be playing the numbers. So you're Xing out military vets. You're Xing out men that don't make enough. You're Xing out men you think that you don't find attractive, and then you put that out there for your subscribers, and your subscribers are younger than you, so you have a bunch of influence on them. you get to the place where like it's only like 3 Negroes and like maybe 6 white guys and 2 Asians that y'all approve of. This is why when Mr. Z, like I wasn't pulling it out of my rear end when I came to the space and I told you that these women, and excuse my language, hopefully none of your kids are up, they shouldn't be up at this time of night, no matter where you are, even on the West Coast. When I came into the door and I told y'all these women are like, fuck your facts. Because it was like a very postmodern, post-structuralist kind of argument, right? Like your numbers and your statistics and the history don't matter. So when I came in the door, for those of you that remember Mr. Z coming in the door telling you these women are on some fuck your facts type thing, that's what I was saying. When you look at the Parises of the world, not so much Chrissy. Chrissy's real careful with stats and statistics. She'll dance around them shits. You don't really see Chrissy talking about the plight of black women outside of like colorism and shit like that because she know better. That's the difference between Chrissy and Paris Milano, young immature ass. Chrissy know better because she knows she don't want to play, and I hate to have to say this like this. She know she don't want to play oppression Olympics with black men. Chrissy knows better. She doesn't do that shit. But Paris Milan, remember I told y'all I called into her show. Paris Milan and Cynthia G will do that shit. Real Talk with Yanni will do that shit. That's the difference, right? And that lets you know the difference. Like I said, Real Talk with Yanni will engage in the oppression Olympics game, right? As a way to say, well, if y'all are so downtrodden, then that's why we should date out anyway. But the numbers don't look good in that anyway. Like I said before, when you play the numbers, you get to where Mr. Z has been for a while and what y'all been hearing me say for a while. Just go eat the box. This ain't looking good. When we play the numbers, it don't look good for black women. Even when we X black men out the conversation, it just don't look good for y'all. Too many racist non-black men, too many racist non-black women. You say black men are not on your level in any significant number, so that leaves you with other black women, right? This is what ends up happening with the Paris Milans of the world. They go out, like I said, they go out and sell out into the sunset with all that attention, with all that money, right? That their subscribers gave them. But then their subscribers are out here in the real world dealing with real men of varying races and eventually probably gonna end up dealing with black women. Because if so many black men are dusties, right? And even so, if Paris Milan apparently, you know, and I don't know for sure, but I'm guessing that she's engaged to a black man. I'm almost certain of it. If she's engaged to a black man, but yet she still plays with that divester language for the sake of her viewership and her subscribers. And she's make comment like, well, that's why we should divest anyway, and that's why these girls should date out anyway. And these girls go out there and date and attempt to date out. And we can see the numbers. Something like 1% of white men marry black women, right? Or at least of the white men that are married, about 1% of them are married to black women. The numbers don't look good. It's the same for Latinos. About 1% of married Latino men are married to black women. It's about 1/4% of Asian men that are married to black women. The reason, like, I continue to bring up these particular divestors and swirlers is because in the overall conversation about relationships and the overall conversation about loneliness and the overall conversation about this kind of sexlessness that's been going on, right? You have these particular people playing a big role in that. The Chrissies are playing a role in that. The Paris Milans, the Real Talk with Yannis are playing a role in that. But their subscribers are also posting videos and crying about being single and lonely or being played by the white frat bro, right? Or the white dude that they done had 1 or 2 kids with and that nigga done dipped. Skirt on their ass. It's so bad that even Lex Exodus like queen mother, divester, right? Neo-Nazi. Like she's like, if she's not the queen, she's definitely one of them head duchesses, right? She's definitely a princess. Even she had to kind of play, kind of walk the thin line of like, well, you know, some of these white dudes are kind of too. What she called them, snow dusties or something like that? Powder dust, I'm sorry, powder dusties. Because this was always going to happen. Tying this to the original subject, because y'all goal is to be white. It's a very neoliberal market-based view of masculinity and of your own family. And so your goal is to be white. Right? My bad, Chaos Rain said, who's engaged to a black man? From my understanding, Paris Milan, I'm guessing that. I know she's engaged. Well, I don't know that. She said she's engaged. And I'm guessing it's a black man. Right? I'm guessing. I doubt it's a white man. To be honest with you, I don't even think she's into white dudes like that. I think, as me and 18th Litter accurately see, I think she let the algorithm take her into neo-Naziville, right into Auschwitz, right into Dachau. And it's easy. It's easy. I can tell y'all right now, it's easy. I can fill my YouTube up over the next week or two with a bunch of Black Women Ain't Ish content, and then that's all I would be making. And because stuff like that gets a rise out of people, I would be getting super chats out the ass. If Mr. Z turned his channel into a Black Woman Ain't Ish channel, I would be getting super chats out the ass. And my numbers would explode. If I made more kind of this player relationship, women know your role type content, my channel will blow up. I don't make that content because I don't actually care about that like that. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. And I think that's so limiting. I don't think we're going back to women in the kitchen, fathers knows best. Not for the masses of people. You would have to that was an era in time. That was a window. That was a window. I don't think we're going back there because you would have to recreate the environment that created that in the first place. You would literally have to rip jobs out of women's hands and push them back into the kitchen to get that. And I mean, on a societal level, not one person over here got it because he make $100,000 a year or 80 grand or even 70 grand a year and his wife is able to stay home, right? But they still got 2 cars, they still got a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage house. They got 2 kids or 3 kids, and he's paying for everything, no problem, and they still going on vacation twice a year. Right? But unless you can recreate that, which by the way, was the story for a particular group of mainly white men. That was a window in time. You're talking about late 40s to about mid 70s. So maybe 30 years at most. And so many of us our imagination is stuck there. Even black women, it's insane to me to listen to black people, black women who grandmothers were the help in the South, in the deep South. Your grandmothers and your great grandmothers were the help in the deep South. Your people just moved out of Mississippi or Alabama or Louisiana in like the late 50s. And for you to have reimagined history so much that black men didn't build anything, like Like your grandpa and them didn't move to California and then move the rest of the family out after he got a job. Or move to Chicago and move the rest of the family out after he got a job. Or move to New York or move to DC, right? And then move the family out after he got a job. Y'all remake history to black men ain't build nothing, they ain't doing nothing. All they was doing was chasing after white women, right? All they was doing was chasing after white women. This rewriting of history. And I'm tying that to say, like, once again, the reason why I don't speak in a particular way about relationships, although I could, and I know what I would need to say and do to grow my channel on that level. But my integrity won't let me. It's that simple, right? It's not like I get much sleep now, but I wouldn't be able to go to sleep at night selling y'all on this BS about, well, if we would just do this and if women would just know they role, that's out the bag. That cat is out the bag. It's done. Now you're at a place where the women that ride with you, the women that want to be wives, and they have a particular view of wife as a role that you do, those are the ones you work with. Everybody else, you avoid. And if you're gonna smash, you smash and run for your life. Whatever you do, don't get her pregnant because that will be the end of your life. It's that simple. Unless men, I didn't say black men, I said men in America decide, you know what? We're done with this conversation. By the threat of death, bitch, you going back in the kitchen. Unless y'all trying to do that, ain't no point in talking about this thing. If y'all not trying to do that, then how do you think a woman's gonna be working some 40 hours a week and then still adhere to certain traditional norms en masse? I'm not talking about your individual girl, because there are men that have that life. You're working 40, she's working 40, but y'all still playing the role, right? But en masse, oh no, that ain't coming back. Especially not with social media in these echo chambers now. Especially not with social media in these echo chambers. And the generations are progressively getting worse. Like I told y'all before, some of these content creators are preparing their subscribers to be single indefinitely. So just like how you guys have heard me say, by 2030, some 45% of women are, supposed to be single, predicted to be single. This is according to Morgan Stanley, right? You've heard me say that. Many of these content creators don't know, these female content creators, these black women empowerment, content creators, they don't know that. But you can still hear them preparing their subscribers to be single indefinitely. Does that mean they're not gonna be having sex with any man? They might have a little, somebody come through and knock the cobwebs out, but be single. Not just as in not married, single and childless. And potentially not even be dating someone, not just single as in you're not married, no, single as in you're not even in a relationship and you're childless. Kim from Fort Harriet is kind of preparing her subscribers for that. Even Julesy is somewhat preparing her subscribers for that. Chrissy, somewhat preparing her subscribers for that. Selkis Ray, somewhat preparing her subscribers for that. Real Talk with Yanni, somewhat preparing her subscribers for that. Oh, Stefco, somewhat preparing her subscribers for that. Yeah, I'm subscribed to a bunch of these people. And some of them I'm not subscribed to. I just check into their channel every once in a while. Right? Let's get like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat, y'all. Right? That's where we are with this. And I might make a part 2 of this a little bit later on in the morning, right? But that's where we are with this. your favorite content creators are preparing their subscribers to be single indefinitely. And on an individual basis, that's not the worst thing in the world. But on a societal basis, people not being able to connect with each other intimately. And we got to get into the conversation. How many of young millennials and Gen Z are socially awkward? And because our society has been trying so hard to fight the nature part of manhood and the nature part of womanhood, you've confused the hell out of the kids. And when I say kids, I'm talking about like everybody under the age of 40, but definitely under the age of 30. They're confused this crap because there's what turns them on for real, and then what they're told is like socially acceptable. I mean, when I continue to reference Dr. Chantel Buggs, that's what I'm saying. When she said there's a disjunction between like these women essentially virtue signaling and saying all the appropriate things that they find attractive about men, and then what they actually are clicking on the internet, which is kind of different. There you go. These women are like, you've been socializing these people to think a particular way about relationships for at least 4 decades, 5 decades. And all it's done is confuse the crap out of them. Because there's what they're supposed to, air quotes, supposed to find attractive and want, and then there's what they actually find attractive and want. And then the shame of the difference. That's if you could ever sit down with these people and show them, you see the problem here? How does Paris Milan tie into this? How does Chrissy tie into this? How does Real Talk with Yanni tie into this? Even Succus Ray, who thinks she's not part of this, yeah, because she's just trying to get her subscribers to just see themselves as ugly so they can get over the hang up of trying to be pretty girls. So they could get over the hang up of wanting to be desired. That's never going to be a thing. Human beings want to be desired, especially women, especially physically. So I don't know, Succus is older than me. You would think she would know that. Yeah. That's like never gonna be a thing. A woman, a young woman, not caring if she's desired or not, yeah, that's not the thing. Her getting over the fact that the type of men she wants don't want her, yeah, that's never gonna be a thing. What she will do is what a lot of bisexual women do, is pretend like you're over it, go deal with a woman until the type of man that you find attractive finds you attractive, and then you'll drop all that lesbo shit overnight. Now that's what they will do, Selkis. Right? They'll pretend like they don't care about being attractive. They'll pretend like they don't care about being attractive to the opposite sex and being appealing to the opposite sex. They'll be in your comment section, and and clapping it up until the type of man. Kim from For Harriet is like, what did she say? This is one thing I actually do agree with her when it comes to women. She said something like, we're all, what did she say? Not they're all, it's like the female equivalent of like you're only a blowjob away. Right? I can't remember exactly how she said it, but it's the female equivalent of like you're only a blowjob away. Right? And that's true for women too. For most of these women, they talking a bunch of crap. They're only one attractive man away. They're only one appealing man away. Now that don't mean they still won't be talking crap on the internet about all other men. And that's not what Mr. Z is saying. But all that I could do bad all by myself, yeah, nah. Even for some of those bisexual black women, all of that, I'm with another woman. Look, you'll be, for those of you that know anyone in law enforcement, ask them how many times they get called out to a domestic between two women because one of them then cheated on the other one with a dude. And yes, sometimes even the butch one. Two women that claim they're not bi. I'm not talking about air quotes bisexual women. You can argue all women are bisexual, but I'm not talking about bisexual women. I'm talking about supposedly lesbian women, full-on lesbian women, and sometimes yes, even the butch one be cheating on the feminine one with a dude. Ask your law enforcement friends. Ask them, white or black. Ask them. Or Latino or Asian, ask them. Especially in black neighborhoods. Because the fallback plan, it goes like this. It goes, black men ain't there, so I'm gonna go deal with non-black men, preferably a white man. Oh crap, these dudes is playing me, they trying me, I'm gonna pretend like this never happened. Hopefully nobody knows that I done gave the pussy up to so many non-black dudes. All right, so the next fallback plan is to maybe go back to black men. Oh, they ain't trying to mess with me like that outside of occasional smash. Okay, so now I'm on some lesbian stuff. Until the right one comes along. And the right one, until the right one comes along, is like in the fine print that they don't tell their other lesbian lover. And by the way, any lesbian that comes onto this, or bisexual black woman that comes onto this, or any of the intersectional people, this is not meant to be, homophobic rant. We all know what I'm speaking about. Let's stop acting like we don't know. And don't give me nothing about that sexual fluidity stuff. Stop it. Don't give me anything about that non-binary stuff. I'm saying it the way it needs to be said. Some of these women are playing lesbian because they can't get the type of man they want. You heard it right. You heard it right. And some of y'all know it. It's, we really do live in a world now where we can all know something, but then it's not the right thing to say. So like two of the five people will be like, I don't know what you're talking about. And so what I'm saying is, when you listen to these particular content creators that we're talking about, when you listen to them talk, just remember that. Just remember, Mr. Z told y'all, they walking y'all right into fur burger land, into eating the box land. Because you have made yourself insufferable. And let's think about what we're really saying. What we're really saying is that there are a number of black people who truly want to be upper middle class and rich white people. And for the women at least, what the women are saying, and I said this on Roger's channel a few days ago, black women are telling black men that if you're not going to be essentially a chocolate dip rich white or upper middle class white man, then you might as well be a black woman. Because if not, then you are a defective white man and a defective black woman simultaneously. And many black boys, and I'm putting words to this more and more now, and I'm going to spread this out more and more among others in the black manosphere. And y'all could tell me whether y'all agree with me or not. Black boys are raised to believe that they are defective white men and defective black women simultaneously. What do I mean by that? You're not the moral compass as black women are. You don't have the emotional range of black women. You don't have the emotional intelligence of black women. You don't have the softness of black women. You are not a mother like black women. You don't birth like black women. You don't stay in the home like black women. You don't raise the children like black women. So that makes you a defective black woman, right? You didn't rape, pillage, conquer, destroy the planet to put your women as the beauty standard. You, you are not a great father. You are not a great husband. You are not a great provider. You are not a great protector. You chase after other men's women because you are a lesser man. Um, so that makes you a defective white man. And so, if the background message is that to black boys, essentially what black women are saying is, well, if you can't be white men, then you better be an ass kissing black man to black women. And if you won't be that and you won't mirror what we say about other black men, then aren't you just a defective black woman and a defective white man? I mean, when you listen to Paris Milan speak, or Chrissy speak, or Real Talk with Yanni speak, what do you hear? Do you not hear them essentially saying that? That you as a black man, you're essentially a defective black woman and a defective white man? I mean, what have you provided for black women in mass, right? I mean, if you can't birth children like a black woman and you can't rape, pillage, conquer the world like a white man, then what are you? But a defective black woman and a defective white man, right? You're not as articulate as black women. You're not as emotionally intelligent. You don't have the emotional range. So what are you? And if you're not a white, see, we'll give white men passes because at least they conquered the planet, and their women get to live off of the residuals of that, right? You, on the other hand, black man, you're pathological and no one even benefits from it. You're a monster and no one even benefits from it. At least we could give white men a pass. I mean, they're monsters, but at least somebody gets to benefit off of their monstrosity, or their monstrous ways, better yet. Their children and their women get to benefit off of that. Black men, you're a monster just for the sake of being a monster, which makes you like quadruple worse than the white man. We can excuse his pathology, his we can, yes, he's pathological, but we can excuse it because at least people benefited, as I said before. And that's how you whiten a society psychologically. You see what I just did there? You whiten a society psychologically by putting the most hurt and bitter of them in leadership positions. Shout out to BLM. You put the ones who have the biggest gripes in leadership positions. Has anyone ever heard of Rwanda? Ooh, did Mr. Z go there? Right? You're in power until I'm about to leave, and then you're in power. So person A is in power all the time. The Belgians are there. Person A is in power. The second the Belgians about to leave, person B is in power. Oops. And there goes civil war. And there goes slaughter. Right? We put your most hurt, your most bitter, the people that really have an axe to grind with others in the community, yeah, we'll empower them. Shout out to Alicia Garza. Right? Shout out to, what's the sister name? Tarana Burke. Right? Her and Tariq are going back and forth on Twitter, and she essentially tells Tariq, like, screw white men. That's not who I'm here to go after. Those are not the exact words, that's the sentiment. Right? Translation, I'm not empowered by white society to go after white men. I'm empowered by white society to go after you Negroes. And you wonder why Paris Milan can say all the foul shit she said YouTube and then still get Rolling Stone to ask her questions. Right? Let me see what's going on. Right. Once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. You know, it's so off of the Paris Milan and others, you know. Random stuff. If y'all haven't heard, and y'all probably don't think it matters, but it kind of does. So President Lula beat Bolsonaro. So, you know, Brazil went from their version of Trump to their version of Bernie Sanders. This should be interesting. Because Lula was already in power before, by the way. Lula literally went to the G20 and said it wasn't natives that did this, it wasn't black people that did this, it wasn't Indian. This is around the housing recession time, by the way. It was white people with blue eyes. It was blue-eyed, blonde white people that caused the financial crisis in London, in New York. Y'all thought y'all knew what y'all were doing and y'all destroyed the world. Lula literally went to G20 and said that shit to all of them. Interesting. So let's get this right. I'm gonna say this. I'm risking my freaking life on this. So let me get this right. You got 3 black-ish men in power in the Western Hemisphere at the same time: Lula, Chavez, Obama. One of them locks himself in the room with bankers and say, "I'm the one that stands between you and the bank." The other one gave Bush well, he didn't give Bush that book. He went on the stands after, he was in the United Nations, he went on the stand after Bush and said it smelled like sulfur after Bush gave his speech. Yep, Chavez did that. He also gave Obama a book about the South American exploitation of South Americans. Yep, he did that. He did that while he was alive. Yeah, he did. So of course he died of cancer. Okay, whatever. And then Lula goes to prison after his term. Oh, also his subordinate Dilma Rousseff went to prison too, apparently. Yeah. So let's run that back again. 3 black-ish or black adjacent Western leaders at the same time. One of them dies of cancer, one of them goes to jail afterward, and the other one sells out in the sunset and lives in Martha's Vineyard right now. Interesting. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. So 2 challenge the system, 1 doesn't at all. And yeah. Alrighty then. Okay, I'm just gonna leave that there. I don't got nothing else to say. I ain't trying to disappear. Okay. So yeah, like I was saying, Lula got reelected. So for the next 4 years, let's see how that works in Brazil. Yeah. Yeah, so, like I said, I agree with Army so much. I really implore y'all to subscribe to his channel, The Funky Academic, and watch his video on the Huxtables and watch his video on Kanye. I know, you know, we got some conservative brothers that listen to me. I know we have, you know, some brothers that are more FBA than ADOS. Like I said, I know about the schism. I'm not putting my nose in there because I am not ADOS or FBA. But just for the information, you know, sometimes I will say, you know, for whatever issues y'all have with tone, very few people are coming with the numbers like he does. I mean, like I said, I listen to and I'm subscribed to so many black content creators from across the board, like not even just relationship stuff, right? Or sex or intimacy stuff, man-woman stuff, but like across the board. Y'all will be surprised. Everyone's from like Jamal Thomas to like, when I say like, just everybody from Dr. Jared Ball to the This Is Revolution with Pascal and them to obviously the Black Authority, Professor Black Truth, like everybody, Sarge Willie Pete, obviously BGS and everybody else on like kind of this side of the Black manosphere. I am subscribed to so many, I can't even tell y'all. There's a younger sister that reads books. I'm subscribed to her. I shared her content before. Like she has a book channel. Like obviously I'm subscribed to Tariq. I'm subscribed to Yvette. I'm subscribed to Tone Talks. Like, like, like Zoe Williams, Corey Holcomb. Man, when I say like, it's insane. And then I told y'all I already listen to so many of the divester stuff. And this is just the black stuff I'm telling y'all about. I'm not telling y'all about all the other stuff I'm subscribed to, whether car related, political related, like it's just insane. Like Nutty History, which I think it's hosted by a brother because it's usually a brother that voice that I hear on Nutty History. But Nutty History kind of brings you back in time, and it talks about all the like the unsavory stuff about like Roman history or Greek history or whatever. Home Team, like I'm subscribed to that brother. I've been subscribed to him forever. I, I Man, I can't run through them. I've had a YouTube channel since like '07. So no, let me take that back. I've been on YouTube since '07. I've had a YouTube channel since '09. So yeah, right. And obviously I just started producing content last year, but I've had a YouTube channel since '09. So that lets you know like my history is long. Yeah, and I'm saying all of that to say, with all the things that I've consumed, all the information that I have, it's difficult to have conversations with people that mainly watch entertainment stuff and like man, woman, ain't ish stuff. Because they just don't have they don't have context for what the hell they're saying, right? They just don't know. And like I told y'all, like a girl I used to date, she kind of told me, not even kind of told me, she told me when she came out of college, she was living in New York and she was walking in the door asking for 80 grand. And I was like, what? Right? And it's just like, it's the level of delusion. It's insane. And these people don't know. And I remember talking to her about that and being like, the median income in America, I think at that time it was like $31,000 or $32,000. And I was like, it's like $32,000. And she was like, oh, no wonder these people were looking at me crazy when I was walking in the door asking for 80 grand. I was like, duh. Right? Like that's the level of delusion that we're dealing with. And so tying that to what I was saying with Tone Talks, it's very few channels, especially with like a brother that's coming with the numbers, right? And putting it in its context, in its proper context. And, some of his most recent stuff, coupled with a lot of Army's most recent stuff, it's helping me to put more into perspective the life of black people currently, right? And like, I want to be careful about my content because I don't want, if I'm chastising the women, the divestors for making rage porn content, I don't want to also turn my channel into like depression porn content either. But I do want y'all to have a more honest view of the world and then move forward from that, right? So sometimes it will be depressing. Sometimes it will be a little somber, right? Or sobering, better yet. But I think that if you have a more honest view of the world, right, a more honest critique of the world, then you can make a better decision about what's best for you and your family, right? And I think that's one of the biggest issues with some of these other content creators, regardless of, I'm not just speaking about the women ain't-ish content creators and whatnot. I'm saying overall, one of the biggest issues is that I don't know how much like history they're giving their people, how much stats, how much like, okay, perfect example. And I got to tie Pierce Malone back into this. This is one of the things I recorded, and I'm actually, like I said, when I finally make this freaking video about why people like her are important in this conversation, but I'll kind of give y'all a tidbit of it now. She was speaking about a sister that was advocating for polygamy back in the 80s, right? And the sister was saying, our black men are in this type of messed up position. We have all these single mothers, blah blah blah, et cetera, et cetera. And Paris came out the mouth and said, well, you know, well, that's even more reason to divest. And like, instead of you telling these women to couple up with one man, why not tell these men to couple up with one woman, right? And like, all the little sassy one-liners and stuff like that. And I just remember thinking to myself, listening to this, how much she really doesn't get it, or she's pretending like she doesn't get it for her subscribers' sake, right? Like I said, she either doesn't get it or she's pretending not to get it for her subscribers' sake. And, that's just a very interesting, way of viewing things, because you just don't know. And when I was talking earlier, and I was speaking about the kind of where a lot of white young men, white boys are, if your escape hatch is to hopefully meet a upper middle class or rich white dude that's naive, because you want a simp, right? But you want one with some ends, with some money. If that's your escape hatch, and then you're also not looking at the numbers, you're doomed to failure. Because, like, I keep on going back to this, you think you're better than your black male counterparts, and the vast majority of these white dudes are not interested. They're racist as crap. Okay, but even for the ones that aren't, let's count the ones that aren't racist. You're not gonna win the lottery ticket over there. You just and I think the part that's interesting about this is how much you don't know, right? How much you just don't know. And I'm tying all of that to the conversation about knowing the numbers or playing the numbers. We were sold a bunch of lies. Millennials were lied to incessantly throughout our life. That's why I think so many of us are delusional. Yes, even the men. Now, we're less delusional than the women, especially as black men, we're way less delusional than the women. But yes, even some of the men are delusional as crap. That's why you get a lot of hustle culture. That's why you get when Uber came on the scene, I knew that was a bunch of crap from the jump. But it was interesting listening to other people talk about it like they was gonna come up. And I'm not saying there's not some brothers that made a few dollars off of that, but for us to be sold hustle culture like it was a positive, it's a positive to leave a 40-hour-a-week job and then bust your ass for another 10, 15 hours driving your car, picking up people, pretty much playing taxi, not even pretty much, playing taxi, right? And then the women's delusion is meeting pretty much a walking wallet, a lottery ticket. Forget a wallet. Marrying a lottery ticket. And yes, the fastest way to get out of poverty is to marry somebody with money. That's a fact. Like, everybody knows that. That's been true since, I don't know, since agriculture, right? Right? That's been true forever. Yes, that is true. But the likeliness, the numbers just don't add up. And I think when you look at the tones in the Army Ose Frimpongs, the funky academics, well, y'all thought I wasn't gonna come back to it. I was coming back to it. When you look at them and when you listen to them speak, what you see is people that are way more rooted in reality than so many others, including some of their own peers. Right? Tony's an attorney. I've spoken to black female attorneys, delusional as crap. Insane. And the fact that now they have a JD on their name, Esquire on their name, the level of delusion got even worse. Right? And then yes, even you know, on Army side, even professors. Now, I haven't had any conversation with any black female professors, but yes, black female attorneys. I've had conversations with a few of them. I used to work with them. Delusional as crap. Don't know what's going on in the world, don't care to know what's going on in the world, and think that what they're experiencing is the experience. Right? And maybe that's not just a black female attorney thing, maybe that's just an attorney thing, you know. Or better yet, maybe it's not a black female attorney thing, it's a woman thing. Yeah. What's going on, Detroit? Right? The delusion is real, y'all. The delusion is real. And when you have people that come with the numbers and the history and put it into context, there is going to be some pushback, especially when you've been lied to for 35 years of your life, 30 years of your life, 25 years of your life, 40 years of your life. And the delusion is so gratifying, right? That hope that you meet that dude or you meet that woman that take you out of this. And for men, it's not a monetary thing, right? It's the super baddie that ends up with you no matter what, right? And you get to brag on her, and dudes is drooling over her, and she cook, and she clean, and she give good head, and she ain't going nowhere, right? And for women, it's the lottery ticket. It's the lottery ticket with good dick. Fit, good dick, and a walking wallet. And when Tone and Army come through the door and they're like, ugh, most likely not. Most likely not. And why do you want that anyway? Right? When they put in context money, bro, I'm telling, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Y'all tell me, because I wasn't the only one on YouTube and on the internet, tell me the conversation ain't changed when Yvette and Tone Talks walked into the scene. Because I could tell y'all what was going on YouTube. It was nothing but hustle culture language. It was nothing but hustle culture language and chastising other black people for spending their money on Jordans and weave. It was nothing but hustle culture. Start an LLC, start a business. The problem is y'all niggas ain't starting businesses. Da, 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 da. Anybody want to tell? Who wants to tell me I'm lying? Replay gang, y'all can put in the comments too. Who want to tell me I was lying? 2015, that's not what we was hearing? 2014, that's not what we were hearing? Anybody want to tell me? Who wants to tell me I'm lying? That all we heard in 2012, in 2013, in 2014, in 2015, 2016 was this hustle culture. The problem with Negroes is Negroes and your spending habits and you spending your money on dumb stuff. Right up until these two Negroes, and yes, I know some people got a problem with these. I'm not defending them in that way. What I'm saying is when they came in the door, listen very carefully to what Mr. Z is saying. When they came in the door with the Nielsen report that said, actually, niggas is spending money on fast food in the dollar store. Yeah. Actually, black people got a higher personal savings rate than white people do, actually. With the less money, by the way, I'm saying the rate of money we save is higher from the little bit that we make, right? When that got on the scene, yeah, that was a different conversation, right? That was a different conversation, you know? So that's what I'm, give me a second, you guys, give me a second. Just in case, wait a minute. All right, y'all. No, so yeah, that was yeah. So it was a different conversation after the fact. After So that's all I'm saying. I'm not, once again, like I said, I'm out the convo. But the conversation changed with that. And now we have to have a different conversation. As black people in general, I'm not ADOS, so I'm not talking about the ADOS FBA conversation. But as a black person and born and raised in America, it's a different conversation when you start talking about money and how it's spent, when you realize that we all got that wayward nephew that has like 20, 30 pairs of J's. But is that $7,000 or $8,000 that he has worth of shoes? Let's say in all he has $10,000 worth of stupid stuff. A PlayStation, a big TV, a couple of overpriced shirts, and like way too many tennis shoes. You trying to tell me 10 grand is what's breaking the hood? 10 grand worth of apparel is what's breaking the hood? See, when I put it in context like that, it sounds whimsical. It sounds comical. To say 10 grand worth of apparel for every 1 out of 10 dudes in the hood that have that much, right? Let's say it's 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 dudes in the hood that have that much, which is not, by the way. 10 grand worth of clothes in their closet, that's what's breaking the hood? You see? But we were led to believe that all through the early aughts, well, all really going from the 90s, but all through the early aughts, even deep into the 2010s, and so now that we having the numbers and money conversation, the conversation changes. I will like to tie that to now that we're having the conversation about men and boys and their position and how that's going to affect society, the conversation changes. See, when we thought that it was only going to be 5 or 10% of men that were left behind, and it wasn't going to have a, what's the word I'm looking for? Not just negative, cataclysmic. Is that too big of a word? That might be too big of a word. Disastrous. Boom. When we thought it wasn't going to have a disastrous effect on the overall society, because we thought it was only going to be maybe 5 or 10, maybe 15 at max of your male population that fall behind. When we thought that, and we thought that enough women were willing to engage with men that they earned more than, not just sexually engage with them, but marry them and be somewhat of the financial the lead financial provider in the family. We thought that. And then no. See, when we thought that and we thought we could leave about 15% of our men behind, that was a different conversation until we realized it was closer to a third. And then we realized that 40% of 40% of women earn more than their male counterparts, and those women ain't trying to marry them niggas. In general, we're not talking about black yet. That's a different conversation for your overall society now, isn't it? Once we start getting into the dark part of the numbers, not all that feel-good Disney crap, not all the, I don't like to watch news because it's depressing. We all got people that say that crap. We all know people that say that crap, right? All these people that don't like watching news, they don't like watching the type of stuff that we watch on YouTube or any type of social media, and they say that's depressing, are the most delusional people on the planet, and they low-key, they're depressed too. They're depressed anyway because their life isn't living up to their delusions. So they're depressed too. They're just depressed in the long run on the back end, where you get that out in your system early, and then you move on with your life knowing which direction to go because you have a more accurate reading of what's going on in the world. These other people, women, not so much. Right? They duck and dodge and weave, right? Reality as much as possible until it punches them in the face. And what's happening right now with all the conversation about men and boys, with all the, and it's not big yet, it's not huge yet, it hasn't broken through mainstream media on that level yet. Yes, you got racist ass Tucker Carlson talking about it on the fringes. Yeah, you got breaking points talking about it with Sagar and now Kyle Kalinske talking about it. Yeah, you got Richard Reeves, obviously. You got Scott Galloway, and he even said it on Bill Maher. Yeah, you have those things happening. Yes, yes, but it's still not CNN level conversation yet, or ABC level conversation yet, right? And it's not a steady drumbeat on Fox News yet, right? But on the fringes, you're starting to have more and more of this conversation. It's going to be interesting to see where we go from here with this, because if we're not going to be a polygamous society, or at least make it legal to be a polygamous society, tons and tons of disconnected single people. I don't know how you maintain a society with self-absorbed, self-interested single people with no children. Maybe not all, maybe not even most, but a sizable minority of millennials and Gen Z that are single with no children and no real attachment to to the future, because they don't have children. And many of them were single children themselves, so they don't even have nieces and nephews. Right? Detroit says not even global news. Yeah, no, definitely not making the Western global news. No, definitely not. You think they want to have this conversation in Britain about the plight of boys and men? Hell no. Hell no. Not in Canada. The only person that's sounding that alarm is a person I honestly don't have no care for, and that's Jordan Peterson. He's like the one Canadian that's talking about this. Right? And barely. And that's what a couple of years of him saying, yeah, nah, it's you. Let's not for all of y'all that's gonna ride that Jordan Peterson wave, don't forget just a year ago when he was on Hafiz, when he was being interviewed by Hafiz, and he pretty much said, nah, the women probably are right. And I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, y'all forgot, huh? Y'all forgot he said that about a year ago, didn't you? Right? You know? Y'all forgot he said that about a year ago, didn't you? Oh, excuse me, y'all. Oh. Yeah, the police. But yeah. For those of you that remember, right? So what I will say is, you know, there becomes a point of being selfish that you actually got to be a little selfless. There's a point in being self-interested where you got to be able to be a little bit of selfless. And I don't know if these people even realize that, right? Probably not. Right? Probably not. You know, I think about this all the time, like when's the point when you realize that being so self-interested doesn't actually work for you in the long run, or doesn't work for the group of people that you're advocating for in the long run? Like, you need to be self-interested, you need to worry about yourself, and it's human nature, but then there's a level of it where it's like, how am I supposed to do this by myself? Right? Or am I supposed to be that cold and calculated where I just use people all the way up? Will I even get all the way up by being that overt of a user? right? And that, I don't think that isn't a woman or black woman thing. That, I think, is a product of its time, right? That, I think, is a neoliberal and understanding of this stuff. That is Ayn Rand. That's Atlas Shrugged, right? That just worry about you and yours, if even yours, just you. Yeah, that's Ayn Rand right there. That's not a black woman thing or a black thing. That's that was pushed because collectivism scared the crap out of the elite, right? It scared the crap out of the elite all through the 50s, definitely the 60s and 70s, early 70s, mid 70s. And we need to break that. So there you go. So pushing me, my, mine, right? You get here, you know? You get here with it. Let me see what y'all got going on. Let me check these comments real quick. If I can. Let me see. Oh yeah, there. All right, let's see. Let's see. Oh, I can't go too far up. Damn it. Okay, I see that 18th letter was here earlier. AB was here. PK. The new format. I don't know, PK. Found it 3 dots on mobile. Oh, wait a minute. What are you talking about? Save highlights, share, microphone. I think I know what you're talking about, PK. I'm not 100% sure. Once again, Mr. Meach with the $5 on it, the $4.99. What's going on? Chaos was in here. What's going on, Chaos? Yeah, Meach. They're talking when I finally put out that Paris Milan video. You'll see. Yeah, they were talking crap about the vets, or she's talking crap about the vets. Better yet, I'm not gonna put that on all of them. KW Don 7 says, when Paris Milan first came to YouTube, she was seeing a Nigerian. Yeah, I remember. And she was bragging about like how much better Africans are than ADOS and FBA men. That wasn't her terminology. She wasn't saying ADOS and FBA men. She just was saying Black American men, because apparently y'all, Black American men don't have culture. Let me say this again for all the Nigerian brothers. Y'all remember me saying this a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna say it again. Those women see y'all as big licks. They think y'all are Hafiz. As a matter of fact, that is a perfect example. And Hafiz is not a weak brother. You can see he go to the gym, he work out. I'm not saying anything about that. What I'm saying is they think y'all are big, dumb, naive lames. And hopefully by the time you wake up, they would have drained you for everything. Right? They think y'all are big, naive, dumb Negroes that are educated with money. The education is not the problem. Your upbringing and your culture, I have my own issues with certain Nigerian understanding of Black American culture, but that's a different conversation. But these women see y'all as educated brothers with some class, right? Right? And y'all pride yourself on being the provider. Nothing wrong with that. And they see y'all as big, dumb walking wallets. Naive, big, dumb walking wallets. When you look at Paris Milan and you see all the sexist, misandrous crap that has come out her mouth, and you put a ring on her finger anyway, like, how does anyone even explain it? You put a ring on, even if you were a white dude, you put a ring on her finger anyway? I guess. I mean, hey, some of us, our pride is so real that we really think we're gonna be the one to survive a sexist, anti-black black woman. We will see her talking crap about her two baby daddies before us and still think we gotta get in there and be all right. All right. Hey, I already spoke about this before. I don't even want to belabor it too much, but okay. All right. Let's see. I'm still reading you guys' comments. Give me a second. Let's see what else we got. Namer says, "Do you expect to have a reasonable conversation with people that refuse to use reason or any thought process?" It's a good question. It's a rhetorical question, but yeah, no, no. Tahuti Tahuti says, "Very true. You can either use all the tech, or the tech will, what do you say? Or the tech will hijack and misuse you." Yeah, brother. Yeah, of course, of course. And um, that's what we are. The addict, the I was gonna, I just misspoke. The algorithm is helping to radicalize the content creators and the content consumers, right? It's a feedback loop. You're in the echo chamber because you want to hear things that confirm your worldview, and then your content creators are getting money from you. They're getting likes and views from you. They're getting little YouTube, whatever. And so they're creating the content that you like, and then so you're consuming more and more of their content, and then it just keeps on going in a circle, in a circle, in a circle, right? Eventually, I'm gonna have a video about cars. I know not a lot of you are gonna be part of that. Eventually, I want to, like I said, I want to speak to Funky Academic and Green Gorilla. Maybe many of you will be part of that. I want to have a political conversation with, and maybe a debate with Conservative eventually. Maybe some of y'all will be with that. But like, I know not all my content is gonna get crazy views, right? And I'm okay with that. I came in the door knowing that was going to be a thing. And but some of these other people, because they live and breathe and die off of this, they're going to give you the content you want. And if what you want is bias, black men ain't ish, white men and Latino men and Asian men and are better, and they're more interested than what the numbers show, and rage porn, rage porn, rage porn. Ooh, look, this 35-year-old black man was chasing down this 16-year-old black girl, and that's all your page is going to be about. That's all your channel is going to be about. Black women in luxury. Black women run from black men because these 35-year-olds are chasing after 16-year-olds. Look at this black missing girl. Oh my God, probably a black man that kidnapped her. Yes, I'm going in on Paris Milan because that's all her channel is now. And maybe you should divest. You probably should divest. I mean, if you're going to pay them to create that content, they are going to create that content. So yeah, you're right. The tech will consume you if you're not careful. And that's once again, that's the content creators and the content consumers. But yeah. Yeah. Detroit says they've gotten worse when women realizing why men don't approach them anymore because they're crazy standards. I mean, I've been doing light work research, or like watching different videos of black women in particular, finding out about the passport bros and their reaction to it, their little sassy ass answers. And I'm like, do you understand what you're asking black men to do? Let me say this for black women that don't get it. You're asking black men to date, try to marry black American women, or black Americanized black women that live here, whether they're from the continent or the Caribbean, or even Afro-Latina. You're asking them to date and potentially marry women that out the gate say they don't trust those men, out the gate say, I will leave you, out the gate say, if I leave you, I'm taking the kids and I'm taking whatever money I can, out the gate tell you you are lesser of a man because you're not a white man, out the gate tell you that if you can't put me in a luxurious situation, then I'm probably not even gonna date you in the first place. You're asking black men to kiss those women's rear end when they literally can go to another country and be treated like a man at worst and a god at best. in another country by women that look better than the women here and treat these men better than the women here treat them. Let's think about that for a second. These men can go to many different countries in Africa, many different countries in South America, and get better treatment from more fit women. And they won't sign up for that because of a loyalty to you that you don't actually show them. You think being with them is showing them loyalty while you sass them and destroy their image in the media and destroy their image to their own children. Why would any straight man, forget just black men, because if y'all didn't know, a white dude's been doing passport bros for decades, for at least a good 4 decades. Y'all just didn't know about it. Why would any man sign up for that? Why wouldn't he take whatever money and prestige he has as an American and that excuse my background, you guys. Why would he not take whatever money he has and that American passport he has and stretch it in another country? Why? Like, that's a real question for any black woman listening. Why would any man, I didn't just say black man, because these white dudes, like I said, are passport bros overseas too, mainly in Asian countries. Some in Latin America, but mainly in Asian countries. Why would any westernized man not take his American passport, his British passport, his Canadian passport, his Australian passport, and go stretch it somewhere else where he would actually be appreciated? Now, black women, you can try to do the same. I promise you it won't be the same. But I want you to go experience it to try to doubt, to try to prove me wrong. Right? Yeah. Yeah. Let's continue. What else we got? Detroit says the level has went skyrocket high, but women claim on Paris Milan channel there a poll for who they choose of Dusty, Brad, or above standard. Black men and black women calling black men ugly because he way more successful. I mean, I was listening to Paris a little bit about 2 weeks ago maybe, and she was going in on the brother's looks. The brother that's probably gonna play King the Conqueror in the movie. Yeah, she was going in on his look. She was like, yeah, he's ripped and he got, a good body, but like he's ugly and da 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 da. And like, yeah, and like I continue to remind y'all, like, women in general, black women specifically, they justify all the sexist, misandrous, ugly, and vile things they say about men on a certain level of feeling of cosmic justice, right? Of cosmic payback, of retribution, right? And that's essentially what Paris Milan did. Excuse my background again, you guys. Same card doing this again for the second time. Let's see if he does it again for a third time. But yeah, the cosmic justice and retribution thing. And I found that interesting, to justify your misandry by essentially saying, well, men were misogynistic first. Well, they judge us like this and they talk about us like this. So I'm going to do the same thing, which ties me right back all the way to the beginning of the conversation about white supremacy and saying whether what we view as justice is just being chocolate to black people. And so the question for the Paris Milan subscribers and the Chrissy subscribers and the Real Talk with Yanni subscribers and the Lexus Exodus subscribers and the Mahogany Pink subscribers is the goal just to be like the worst black man? You just want to be able to say the most vile things, the most sexist things, the most insane things about black men based off of what some of the worst black men say, or what you think they say, or what you claim they say, because them Negroes don't even be saying some of that stuff that y'all be saying. Ain't no Negro out here talking about aborting black daughters. None. Not even the most vile Negroes is coming out the mouth like that, right? Right. Not even the most vile Negroes are on Clubhouse piling around with white racist female cops talking about we would like for y'all to take out more of these black women. Right? Y'all could say we be kissing white women's rear ends as much as y'all want. Negroes ain't coming out the mouth like that. Right? So once again, is the goal just to be like the word? Is this what y'all see as this cosmic justice that I keep on speaking of? I just want to be able to say and do and the worst things to black men because of a handful of Negroes that I feel slighted by or that I felt slighted by when I was a child. Right? Detroit said these pro-blacks claim that white girl has the voice of black manosphere, but she is pandering the white manosphere. Most of her audience is majority white and Latinos. And there you go. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Yeah, man. Look, the Jess Pearly thing, like I said, I'm not following it close enough. Yes, I know who Jess Pearly is. Yes, I've watched a bunch of her content. Yeah, I mean, is she grifting? Yeah, probably started that way. Yeah. Um, are there some black men that are giving her pass because she's a white woman that's saying these things? Yes, of course. Um, are there some black men that are getting off watching black women squirm, listening to a white woman, and even that Latina chick that now has a channel? Y'all know which one I'm saying. The one that she kind of burst onto the scenes with the video saying, was she in the back of a car and she was saying like she's married and like all she had to do was submit or all she had to do was become feminine. Yeah, it's gonna make black women squirm to hear white women and Latina women essentially say like, yo, like, yeah, you could like your whole entire world can change if you just become more feminine, right? Of course, black women are gonna feel this way, and as a matter of fact, not even just black women, other more feminist women feel a certain way, and I'm careful to say feminist because these women are feminist and feminine at the same time, right? Like it really is the hive model that Nameless speaks about because they want to be I am woman, hear me roar, but you need to still defend and provide and protect me, right? And I want to be able to flip that switch at any time, right? Like at the drop of a hat. I want to be able to go from like I am woman, hear me roar to like I'm a damsel in distress, right? And like that's not exclusive to black women. As a matter of fact, like a lot of white women are on that too, right? And a sizable chunk of Latina women are on that. That's not a black modern woman thing. Now, obviously, like y'all hear Mr. Z says all the time, black women are just the loudest about it and the most crass about it, honestly. Right? But yeah, you guys, I'm about to head out in a minute. But like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Um, yeah, this was a mishmash, but for those of you that missed the beginning, let me make sure to bring it back up, which was, um, is the goal for people of color, not just black people, I'm not making this just a black conversation for this part, is the goal just to be white people with all the accoutrement and injustices that they get away with? That's the question for like people of color, but I'm mainly talking to black people. That's who subscribe to me, right? Is that when we say justice and equality, are we really asking to be white? Okay, yeah. Are we really asking to be white? That's the question, right? And so, like, if the answer is like we're just really asking to be white, then you know, Give me a second, you guys. Give me a second. All right, you guys, I am back. But yeah, so y'all let me, give me an answer for what y'all think. Is the goal really to be the elite, rich, racist, classist, hegemonic white man? Because when I listen to people, like, I really was thinking about this, kind of watching this Kanye West debacle unfold. And no, I'm not gonna say anything about what he said about Jews or like even the George Floyd thing, which, oh boy, woo. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything about that fentanyl claim that he made. Okay, all right, um, but you know, what does it look like when a black man has surrounded himself by rich white women for too many years, and he himself said he sees an elite, spoiled, 70 something year old trust fund baby as a father figure? So, the question is the goal for non white people to be an elite white person with all the positive but also negatives that come with that, right? And I'm just thinking about so many different times I've seen mainly black and Latino, but black, Latino, Asian people forget that, nigga, you ain't white, right? And like, I'm not even saying that to even make fun of us, but like, bruh, did you like, I get it, you got real comfortable, but like, you're not there yet, especially now talking to black people specifically, like, we're not there. Like, and I know we're tired of the injustice, and I know we're tired of being beat up on, and I know we're tired of being overlooked, especially as black men. Um, and I know we're tired of being told to shut up, and even by our own women. I get that. I'm not playing that down at all. What I'm saying though is, if the goal is to, if we're seeing being white as that's the goal, that's justice, that's fairness, that's equality, then do you understand that you really ain't changed nothing? You just turned black people into chocolate dip white people, still conquering, still pillaging, still destroying the world, still building Foxconn, still, some textile mill in India that burns down and kills how many hundred people, still, like, still polluting like crazy, like all of that. You literally did not do anything except put about 20% of black people in the same position as some of the worst white actors on the planet, right? And like, I don't know how many of us question that. I was thinking about that when I was thinking about rap, right? Which like is like jockeys for first or second of my favorite genre of music, obviously between R&B, right? And like, all like, oh my god, the neoliberalism and hip hop music is insane when you really think about it. But I love it, and I'm not letting go. But when you really think about the materialism and the consumerism and the commodification of other human beings and the neoliberalism and hip hop, oh, right? It's scary. And I mean, as a genre of music that really started to get its legs under it during the Reagan administration, you get it. Like in like the golden era is during the Clinton administration, you definitely get it, right? Started to crawl out the slime during Reagan. Excuse my background once again. Started to climb out the slime during Reagan, and really started to like the golden era, which I would argue most people would agree with. Not the best era, maybe, but I'm not gonna make that claim. I'm not gonna say anything about that. Um, but like the era that's among the most notable in the '90s Um, yeah, Clinton is president. This is NAFTA. This is telecom, right? That's the era with this is the end of Glass-Steagall. This is like, you know, hyper consumerism run amok. You are defined by your money. Like this is what Reagan and then Clinton brought in, and like this is like the two most pivotal the two most pivotal decades in hip hop history are coming about at this time. Reagan and Clinton, 80s and 90s, right? Yes, we have Bush Senior in the middle there, but yes, 80s and 90s. And like when you think about that music informing us, when you think about when you think about like the movies that came out the 80s, but especially in the 90s, the kind of scenery in some of these movies and TV shows, these McMansions, these mansions that a lot of our actors lived in some of these movies, and like this is what informed you of what a house should look like and what like a marriage should be, right? And what your children would aspire to. And like you wonder why so many young people sound delusional. Then let's put black on it. Why so many black young people sound delusional. Now let's put femininity on it. Why so many black young women sound insanely delusional. This is the type of entertainment they've been consuming for decades, right? K Cut. That's a dope ass. The fatigue of being forced into being a part of the bottom caste is the catalyst for the desire to identify with the ruling caste, irrespective of the atrocities they committed to assume that position, including on your same people. As a matter of fact, most definitely on your same people. I agree with you so much on that one. It almost makes you blind to the fact that the reason why you're even complaining and the reason why you're even trying so hard to escape this is because the same people you're aspiring to be like are the people that did it in the first place. To the point where like this is where we get into the crab in the barrel or the crab in the bucket type conversation where we're like, you're beating up on the people that's on the bottom with you. That's black women beating up on black men in this conversation. You're beating up on them and seeing them as the primary issue when you're really trying to aspire to be like the people, white women and white men, who put us in this position in the first place. And you're beating up on black men. Half of that is because you know that the people that put us here in the first place, that's what they desire, that they love seeing it, and you've essentially become the colonizing agent of the black community, and you're increasingly becoming the mammy of empire. Now that's not going to benefit more than about 10% of black women, but everybody's going to be jockeying, or not everyone, but an increasing amount of black women are going to jockey for that 10-15% position. And all the accoutrement that come from it. And to justify it, I will remind y'all of Simone Sanders tying herself into a pretzel trying to justify the 94 crime bill. Right? Because she was part of Biden's administration. That is what I'm talking about. Black women that continue to play that role. Right? Kamala Harris essentially calling Charlemagne a Republican because he asked her a simple ass question. Right? That's what it looks like to beat up on the bottom caste of men. Tiffany Cross, right? Maxine Waters. What did Maxine Waters say essentially? Y'all gotta get it, or if y'all don't vote this way, or if y'all don't do this, I'm gonna make y'all suffer, or something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, right? And Maxine Waters, tends to, you know, I got my issues with her, especially kind of bigging up Meg Thee Stallion and them. But yeah, she wasn't the worst, but that bar is pretty damn low anyway. right? But yeah, y'all. So, Mr. Z is gonna call it a night or a morning. I will talk to y'all later. Um, this was a mishmash. I don't know. I might, like I said, I might change the title of this. And yes, I know I showed my face earlier, for a second. Oh well. Um, Actually, I might have to take this down because I just thought about something. It's not my face that I'm worried about. Yeah. So, love, peace, and chicken grease. Thank y'all brothers for being in, or whatever sisters are listening in. And I will truly pause right here. Um, like I told y'all, I am not. Yeah, if y'all see me take down something, it's serious. So I might, but not because of my face, right? Um, for something else. Um, yeah. So brothers, look, man, this issue is real. Um, if black people are not fighting for actual justice, but like not defined by whiteness, then that's a different conversation. But if the goal is to essentially be chocolate dip white people, right? I don't know. It's not, I'm, what am I gonna say? I'm new here, right? First generation born and raised American. So it's not up to me to necessarily decide. What I will say is you're having a different conversation if the goal is to be a chocolate dip white person than if the goal is to actually bring fairness and equality and actually have merit and actually you rise and fall off of your hard work and what you've done and who you are, right? Not who your parents are necessarily. And I'll pause right there. I'll pause right there. That'll give y'all something to think about. All right, you guys. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Y'all have a good rest of y'all night. Um, and I'm out.